AI and the law, huh? I feel like everyone's talking about AI these days, but nobody actually knows the rules. Like, can I even use this stuff in my classroom without getting in trouble? Thankfully, we found this Czech presentation, AI, a legislativa. Think we can make sense of it together.
Oh, absolutely. It's like the Wild West out there, isn't it? This presentation is actually perfect timing. It's like a crash course in AI law, especially for education.
So first things first, is it even legal to use AI in my classroom? I mean, that's what I'm most worried about.
Don't worry, this presentation gets straight to the point.
Hmm.
Slide 5 is actually really reassuring. It says, yes, using AI for teaching is totally legal. Butte, and you knew there was a but coming, right?
Haha, of course. There's always a but with new technology, right?
Right. Slides 6 and 7 go into this. It's all about the specific app or tool you're using, age limits especially.
Different AI, different rules. Ugh, that sounds like a lot to keep track of.
It's like anything else we do as teachers, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't let our students loose on just A and Y website, would we? Same principle here. Got to check those age restrictions. Some might be fine for high school, but not for younger kids.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's on me, the teacher, to make sure things are age appropriate. What about parental consent, though? That's a big one these days.
The presentation actually addresses that head on. Generally, as long as students are using AI through official school accounts, A&D, you're sticking to the app's terms of service, including those age limits, you should be in the clear.
That's a relief. Schools already have systems in place for online safety and all that, so it's not like we're starting from scratch.
Exactly. But just a heads up, even though this presentation gives a good overview, it's always smart to double-check your own school's policies, too. Things change fast in the tech world.
Noted. Okay, on to the big, scary topic, copyright. This one has me stumped. Slides 9 and 10 seem to be where the presentation gets into it. So if AI is creating stuff, who owns the copyright? Can I use it however I want?
This is where things get interesting, legally speaking. See, according to the presentation, AI-generated content isn't actually considered copyrightable by anyone.
Wait, seriously, so it's a free-for-all. I can just grab any AI image or text and use it?
You technically can. However, and this is a good rule of thumb, for official school stuff, think websites, publications, anything that represents the school, it's best to stick with original work. But for your everyday teaching materials, you're generally good to go.
Okay, so different levels of caution depending on the situation. Makes sense. What if I create something with the help of AI, though? Like, say I'm making an awesome presentation for my history class, and I use AI to help pull images or generate text. Do I own the copyright to that final product, even if AI helped?
You've hit on something that confuses a lot of people, but this presentation actually clarifies it on slide 11. You do own what you create with an AI generator, even though you're not the author in the traditional sense. That presentation for your history class, it's yours, even with AI assistance.
But there's always a but with AI.
You know it. Here's the catch: how you can USC what you create that's still bound by the AI tool's specific terms of service. Those can be super different, so reading the fine print is key, especially if you want to share your AI-assisted masterpiece with the world.
Okay, my head's spinning a bit. So, bottom line, if I create that history lesson plan with AI's help, I'm still the one responsible for making sure it's all accurate and appropriate and all that.
Absolutely. Slide 12 is very clear on that. You hit generate, you're responsible. Think of AI as a crazy powerful assistant, but you're still the teacher in charge, right?
Like having a world-class researcher who can instantly pull information, but I still need to double-check their work, right?
Precisely. And speaking of things that need careful handling, how do you cite an AI? Anyway, we've got MLA format, APA format. What about AI format? Right.
Thankfully, slide 13 actually dives into this. The key is transparency. Just like you'd cite any source, be upfront about when AI was involved.
Oh, okay. So no need to come up with some whole new citation format for AI.
Yeah.
No. Just be transparent. If it's for a longer work, maybe briefly explain how you use the AI. Did it help you brainstorm, generate content, whatever? Adds context.
Okay, that's actually less scary than I expected. So we've established that yes, AI is legal for educators, but with some very important caveats. But realistically, how are we supposed to choose which AI tools to use? There's so many, especially with these age restrictions. Slides 14 through 16 seem to offer some guidance here.
They do, and this is where the presentation gets really helpful for teachers who are just starting out with this stuff. They get that it's overwhelming and offer a starting point.
Okay, give me the highlights. Which AI tools are they suggesting?
So for visual stuff, like if you need to generate images, they have a few recommendations. Slide 23 lists Dream AI, Crayon AI, and Deep AI. All free, no age restrictions, perfect for sparking creativity.
Music to my ears free, and no age restrictions. What about those chatbot things everyone's talking about?
Definitely. Slide 24 recommends two Codebreaker, Edu, and Koala Chat. Both free, no age restrictions, perfect for the classroom.
Awesome. Those are going straight on my to explore list. Now, I gotta ask, we've been focusing on the tools without age limits. But what about the ones that do have them? Just so we don't accidentally recommend something to a colleague who teaches younger grades.
You're right. Good to be aware. The presentation actually lists a bunch. ChatGPT, for example, that's the one everyone's talking about that has an age restriction of 13 years old.
Even the big names have boundaries. Okay, what else is on that list?
Let's see. Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, Claude Anthropic, those are all 18 and up. Then there's Perplexity AI, Midjourney, Suno AI, and Adobe Firefly, all with a 13-year-old age limit. Oh, and interestingly, Canva doesn't seem to have any age restrictions at the moment.
Wow, okay, that's a lot to remember. It's like knowing which art supplies are safe for elementary versus high school important stuff.
Exactly. Different tools for different learners.
Right. So to sum up our whirlwind tour of AI and the law, yes, you can use this incredible technology in your classroom, but, and this is a big but, you have to stay on top of age restrictions, read those terms of service like your life depends on it, and always think about what's appropriate for your specific students.
Don't let the legal stuff scare you off, though. This presentation really shows it's manageable.
And on that note, we'll be back in part 2 to delve even deeper into the wild world of AI and education. Welcome back to our deep dive into AI and all its legal quirks. We've established that using it in the classroom isn't going to land us in hot water, but it's not exactly a free-for-all either.
Right. It's all about understanding the nuances, and honestly, one of the biggest ones for me is data privacy.
Absolutely. I mean, we're teachers. Protecting student information is practically in our DNA at this point. So how does AI play into that? What do we need to be aware of?
Well, this is where the check presentation, as thorough as it is, kind of surprised me.
Oh, how so?
It doesn't really dive into data privacy when it comes to AI-generated content. It's more focused on the copyright side of things.
Really? That seems like a pretty big omission, doesn't it?
It does, but it actually opens up a really interesting question. Remember how the presentation kept emphasizing that AI-generated content isn't copyrightable? Well, that makes you wonder, how does that content, especially stuff our students are making, fall under data regulations? Is it even considered personal data in the same way?
Wow, I hadn't even thought about it like that. It's such new territory. We're so used to worrying about copyright that we forget about the bigger picture of data privacy.
Exactly. And that's where critical thinking comes in. This presentation gives us the legal basics, but we have to figure out how to apply them to these new situations.
So what can we do? As teachers, I mean. We can't just avoid AI altogether.
Right. Definitely not. Just like with any new digital tool, the first step is simple. Read the fine print. Seriously, familiarize yourself with the AI tool's privacy policy. What are they collecting? How are they using it? Who are they sharing it with?
Okay, good old-fashioned caution. What else?
Be mindful of what you're putting into the AI tool in the first place. If you're using it to build a lesson plan, stick to the general concepts. Don't put any personally identifiable information about your students in there.
Common sense. But it's easy to forget the simple stuff when you're caught up in the excitement of new technology.
Exactly. And whenever possible, lean towards AI tools specifically designed for education. Those are usually built with data privacy regulations in mind, like FERPA here in the US or GDPR in Europe.
Ah, yes, those acronyms. For those of us who need a little refresher, what do those stand for again?
Of course. So FERPA is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It's a U.S. law that protects student educational records. GDPR is the General Data Protection Regulation, a similar idea in Europe, but with a broader reach. Both set rules for how student data is handled, collected, stored, all of that.
So if we can find tools that already comply with those regulations, it gives us an extra layer of protection.
Exactly. Less for you to worry about.
Perfect. So to sum up our crash course in AI and data privacy, be cautious, read those privacy policies carefully, don't put sensitive information into these tools, and prioritize educational AI tools that are built with privacy in mind.
Nailed it. And hey, don't be afraid to reach out to your IT department or admin if you have any questions. That's what they're there for.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the legal stuff, the privacy stuff, but let's talk practically for a second. There is so much hype around AI. How can we, as educators, make sure we're using it effectively and ethically? We don't want to just let AI do all the thinking for our students, right?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think the key takeaway is that AI should be a partner in learning, not a replacement for us. empowering, not replacing.
I like that. A partner. So what does that partnership actually look like in the classroom? Any examples?
Think about tasks that AI excels at: generating creative writing prompts, creating personalized learning materials, providing quick access to information and research, even automating repetitive tasks like grading multiple choice quizzes.
That makes so much sense. I can already imagine how much time I could save on grading if AI could handle the multiple choice stuff. Then I'd actually have time to give thoughtful feedback on essays.
Exactly. Or have more one-on-one conversations with your students. Facilitate deeper discussions. Work on those project-based learning activities. AI takes care of the routine stuff so you can focus on the human elements of teaching.
It's like having a superpowered teaching assistant.
In a way, yeah. But it's important to remember that AI is still a tool. We're the ones in charge, guiding its use, evaluating what it produces, making sure it's genuinely beneficial for our students.
It's all about being intentional, not just using AI for the sake of it, but because it truly enhances what we're already doing.
Exactly. Which brings up another crucial point. How do we make sure AI enhances rather than hinders creativity and critical thinking in our students?
Yeah.
It's a tough one, right? Like, we want to use these cool new tools, but not make our students too reliant on them.
Yeah, it's like calculators are amazing, but you got to understand the math behind it, right? Not just blindly punching numbers.
100%. One thing we can do is be really deliberate about how we're using AI in class. Instead of just handing them the tool, maybe we use it as a class. Like, project the chatbot up on the screen so everyone can see how it responds to prompts, when it works well, when it doesn't.
I know, I like that. So we're not hiding the AI away. We're making the whole process transparent.
Right. And the kids see that even AI messes up sometimes. It's not some perfect thinking machine.
It's following instructions, working with data, which actually, that's another lesson in itself. How the data going AN affects the results coming OUT.
Absolutely. There are so many learning opportunities tied into this stuff.
This has been such a thought-provoking deep dive.
Yeah.
I feel like we've only scratched the surface of AI in education, though.
Oh, for sure. And like any new tool, it's going to be a learning curve for all of us. That check presentation gave us a great starting point, legally speaking, but the real work happens when we bring it into our classrooms.
So true. So to wrap up our deep dive into AI and the law, any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they navigate this new world?
Don't be afraid to experiment, but do it thoughtfully. Partner with your students. Make it clear that this isn't about replacing anyone. It's about opening up new possibilities,
I love that. We're all explorers in uncharted territory here. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive, everyone. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic.